What is best in life? To crush your enemies, see them driven before you, and to hear the lamentation of their women.
All right. What is it? Sunday night? Well, it means it's Sunday night Radio Baloney Live. I am your host, Richie Baloney. I hope everybody had a good weekend. I told you to have a good weekend on Friday. I hope you listened. You were probably not going to get a huge crowd. I think everybody's watching football today. So I haven't watched football in, I don't know, yeah, I stopped watching football years ago, but I thought, well, I saw the game was on. I was doing a crossword. I have it on in the background. There's still something kind of comforting, going back to my childhood with my dad watching the football on Sunday. But yeah, I don't plan to go back to watching team sports constantly all the time. It's an enormous waste of time. It really is. But in the background while you're doing something else, why not? Xerxes, how you doing? It's been a while. We thought we'd lost you. Good to see you back. What are we doing today? What are we doing? So I've already said I hope you had a good weekend. That's good. All right, what else we got going on? So let's go through the menu. What are we going to be talking about? I'll show you what we're going to talk about, if any of this is of interest to you. And then after that, we'll go back and we'll go through them in more detail. So some of the worst criminals that Trump has deported in just 1 week. This guy wasn't happy with Trump at all, but he's a big fan of Biden. Big fan of Biden for some reason. Isn't that odd? But yeah, he's going. Because he's not a nice guy, apparently. What else we got? We got a bunch of Trump stuff. Public opinion is changing. This is different this time around. With Trump. Things have definitely changed. The winds have changed. We've got, let's see, Danielle Smith, Premier of Canada. She's pointing out that this whole federal government approach to Trump right now is idiotic and it's super counterproductive, and it's exactly what you would expect, actually. Chrystia Freeland is kind of weird. She's acting weird. What is going on? We've got a poll on 64% of Canadians say the country's moving in the wrong direction. Yeah, I could have told you that. Didn't even need to do a poll. Mark Carney, apparently, China likes him. China, I think, would like him to be the next prime minister for obvious reasons. We've got Pierre Poilievre here. He's talking about Mark Carney and just reminding us that, the Liberals are the party of everybody dies from fentanyl. So that should just be their platform, right? That's what they should run on, I think. Just everybody dies of fentanyl. That's it. Whole country, just everybody will die of fentanyl. Vote for us. Maybe you'll die of meth or crack or something or heroin, but probably fentanyl. Vote Liberal. So, yeah, that's what's going on. I've got some stats here on drugs overdoses, illegal drug overdoses, which are not good. Not good. And I've also got some stats from Sweden that are different from Canada. It almost seems like governance makes a difference. Let's see. We've got Doge, Elon Musk, Doge. It's going to work. Department of Government Efficiency going to work. They're starting fast. The whole Trump administration is rushing out of the gate here. They've been champing at the bit, and they are going. They're not wasting any time at all. They know they've got 2 years for sure to get done what they need to get done. All right, then we've got the last tab of the evening. Probably won't be going that long tonight. Probably keep it to one of those 2-hour ones, I should think. This Haitian hates Trump, but loves Biden. And he's telling us this while he's being deported for being a criminal. We've got J.D. Vance doing a Face the Nation here. I guess this was today. And it's exactly what you would expect from the media. They haven't changed at all. J.D. Vance, when they first announced him, I was kind of like, it seems a bit didn't seem that exciting. It turns out he was a great choice. He's an excellent communicator. He's really good at this. What he's good at doing is pointing out that the things that are coming, that the words coming out of the mouths of the journalists are fucking crazy. And we don't have to live in a madhouse. He's really good at that. The Western world doesn't have to live in a madhouse. Let's see, Portland, you've got a black-clad anarchist dwarf. None of them are actually anarchists. That's a commie dwarf. Commie dwarf. Commie dwarf. Anyway, so it's just getting weirder. It's probably a trans commie dwarf, I would guess. I don't know. They seem to like that. You've got some drug enforcement officials arresting Trenda Aragua, the gang that media said, well, they don't actually exist. And then said, well, they do exist, but there's not many. And then they're just like, well, whatever. We just like it. Let's see. We've got Rob Schneider here dealing with a heckler. I think you guys will enjoy that. We've got some memes. We've got whatever that is, and we'll talk about that. We've got this, which is just good, plain old-fashioned fun. You've got this, which not so much, really. Not so much. You've got a cat video here. I'm pretty sure Rosie sent this one in, and I just like it. It's fun. It's a Trump cat. He was stopping Haitians from eating them, so the cats like Trump. Here's a guy dealing with I can't remember what this is. Anyway, it's just funny. I think Rosie sent that. There's Rob Schneider again. We've got our future Terminators, the machines that will at some point turn on us and terminate us, working away there. Memes. You know the score. We got all this crazy stuff. All right. Let's get to the chat for a minute, then we'll just get straight in. Now, we are streaming on Rumble and YouTube and also X as well. So we've started with the first X stream was on Friday, and we're doing it again. So we got a few people there already, which is nice. All right. I think the only problem with X is that you can't comment. So if you're watching on X, you'd have to go onto like Rumble or YouTube or something to I don't know how it works. But if you're watching it there, thanks. All right. Chat, how's it going? So who we got in here? We got Xerxes, we got Jesse, we got Macross, we got Rosie. How you guys doing? We got MHJ, Jesse. We got Turtles. We got Posey Poet. How come you guys aren't watching the football? I thought we'd go live and they're like nobody be watching. But yeah, there's some people. Yeah, we got some people. This is good. Excellent. I'm glad you guys showed up. Let's see. Jesse says, I love the new lineup. Let's see. Macross says, Trump unconfused everything. He confirmed there are only two sexes. Who knew? Who knew? What a bizarre charade that's been happening. Where, it's just the power of fashion, the power of influence, just people not wanting to, be part of the out group, just pretending to believe things that are absurd and ridiculous. It's actually scary. I find it quite terrifying because it gives you a glimpse into the kind of lunacy. Like this is a foretaste of the kind of, this is just an appetizer to the feast of lunacy that you would see under like Stalinism or under Mao. Then it gets really serious. Let's see. Xerxes says, so far, I love Vance. He's been great. He's been excellent. He's so good at just that incredulity when he's asked an idiotic question. He's really good at that. He's really good at just making it clear that this is ridiculous and you're an idiot. I'm talking about like her, for instance. He's really good at just that incredulity. Just like, I can't believe you're asking me this incredibly stupid question or this transparently biased question. He's excellent at that. All right. Let's see. Let's see. Rosie says on day 7, so much shaking out. Woohoo. Trump just getting to work. Serious. I mean, you saw it when he was inaugurated, and he just immediately, right in front of the crowd, just started signing executive orders. He's like, let's go now. Right now. Not wasting any time. He learned from his first term, obviously. Turtle says, game, just a few apartment complexes. Tom Holman is a rock. Yeah, talking about the deportations, getting rid of the trend to Aragua already. At least, beginning that process, getting rid of some of them already. He is like, we'll see from him tonight in the stream. And yeah, he's an animal, that guy. He's awesome. Xerxes says, I love the animal videos. Eating the dogs, eating the cats. Those are great. Let's see. Good evening, Posey Poet. Let's see. Well, there's not many of you on YouTube, but there's it's filling up on Rumble, on the Rumble side. Jesse says, I like hockey. Yeah, I mean, of the team sports, I prefer hockey. That's my favorite. Canadian, watched hockey, played hockey when I was a kid. But I just can't waste the time on watching all those games anymore, And yeah, I absolutely dropped like football, basketball. Yeah, I never really watched much baseball, but really when everything went super woke in 2020, I just said, I'm not watching this anymore. Why am I wasting my time watching these millionaires lecture me? No thanks. Turtle says, good karma, no football here. Hockey rocks. It does. By the way, everybody, as you know, when you put a like on the stream, that's free good karma for you. First like gets double good karma as well. So just saying, and that's on whether it's on YouTube or Rumble or on X. Let's see. Poet says, football is like politics for non-political people. It's true. I mean, the amount of statistics that people memorize, I just can't help but feel like you could put it to better use. I mean, look, I watch boxing. Like, I still watch sports. I still like sports. Boxing, I think is fun. It's like, that's the highest stakes in sport, boxing, because you could get knocked out. You could even, I mean, it's very rare, but people do die. It's high stakes. And it's just, maybe sometimes Friday nights, usually the really big fights are a Saturday, so it's just one day. So Saturday is my sports day. It's my combat sports day. And then I'm not wasting my time during the week. Turtle says, game on. Let's create a sport with the frozen dead bird on ice before we bury it in the ground in sealskin. Great idea. Grossest game in the world. Let's see. Rosie says, Richie, your chat is mostly female. Bet this is a first. Probably, because I mean, my channel has typically always been like 90% male, 10% female or less. So I don't know. Maybe I've got the wrong. Maybe I need some footage of David Hasselhoff, because I know that's what the ladies love. Maybe we'll find some David Hasselhoff. In fact, maybe we'll do it right now. Hold on. Hold on. I'm just going to press this while I find some for you. All right. All right, people. Let's see. It's for the ladies. Hold on. Hold on. What is this? What the heck is this? There we go. There we go. It's ladies' night on Radio Baloney. David has. All right. Here we are. Now what's going on? What kind of crazy stuff is going on in the world now? Well, let's take a look. Here are some of the worst criminals Trump deported in just 1 week. Well, first off, let's go to here, because here we are. Haitian man says, F Trump, Biden forever, gets arrested by ICE's elite Boston unit to be deported. So,
I'm not going back to Haiti.
One of those threats is this illegal alien from Haiti. ICE says he's a gang member with 17 criminal convictions in recent years.
Trump, you feel me? Yo, Biden forever, bro. Thank Obama for everything that he did for me, bro.
ICE Boston quickly takes down its next targets, including this illegal alien from Brazil who has an Interpol red notice for armed robbery. This Salvadoran illegal alien charged locally with rape and released by a sanctuary jurisdiction.
Señor, ¿cómo se llama?
And this Dominican illegal alien charged with assault with a deadly weapon and heroin trafficking. Officers also arrested this Guatemalan MS-13 gang member facing gun charges. ICE says he was released from local custody just the day before. Their detainer request was ignored because of sanctuary policies. And in a sign of shifting priorities with the new Trump administration, this man, who was in the same apartment as the target, was also arrested after ICE determined he's also in the U.S. illegally. This is what ICE calls collateral.
So you guys got your main target just now, but you got somebody else. What just happened?
So our main target was released by a sanctuary jurisdiction, not honoring a detainer. That person was released back into the community, and when we went to go find him, he's with somebody else who was previously removed from the United States. So he's going to go today too.
And that is exactly what border czar Tom Homan has warned would happen.
it's just so bizarre, right? Like, these are like gang members, violent criminals. They could have done this at any time. The last administration could have done this any time. What are you to surmise? They didn't want to. They were happy with them being there. Sanctuary cities, letting them loose. I mean, these guys could have been dealt with at any time. I mean, it just seems just so beyond understanding how anybody could say, let's see, we've got a violent criminal committing violent acts in our country. They're here illegally. We don't have to have them, but let's just keep them because we don't want to get called names. It's just beyond belief, is it not? It's just, I mean, all of these people could have been dealt with the entire time. Nothing to stop the Biden administration from doing it other than, I guess, the Biden administration's goals, which were to just flood the United States, clearly, to flood the United States with millions of people illegally. And they succeeded beyond their wildest dreams. I mean, that clearly was the goal. Just flood the country with people, and it doesn't matter who they are, because it's all towards some greater goal. Perhaps of never losing an election again or something like that. Or maybe just, I don't know, destroying the country from within for some reason. I don't know. All I know is that this looks like sanity. Any sane person, if asked, should we deport the violent criminal who will happily commit a crime against you, should we deport them? Any sane person will say yes. Of course, there will be people there are people that are infected with an idea pathogen, with the woke mind virus. But I mean, you can't even, those people are just gone. If you're at the point where you don't see the logic or the purpose in deporting violent illegal immigrants from your country, you're just gone at that point. Those people, you just have to go, well, these people exist and we just have to ignore them. The adults just have to take over. The sane people have to take over. Just bonkers. So, President Donald Trump wasted no time fulfilling his campaign promises to crack down on illegal immigration and deport individuals residing in the U.S. unlawfully, particularly those with criminal records. Within his first week in office, the Trump administration has arrested more than 2,000 people as part of a sweeping immigration enforcement effort. So there are 2,000. They're going after the violent criminals first. There's 2,000 violent illegal immigrant criminals. Boom. I mean, that's just the start. But that's just sane. Like, just think how far, it's not just the United States, because this stuff's happening everywhere in the West, but how far the West in general has, particularly the Biden administration here, strayed from sanity. I mean, what Biden was doing, and he succeeded. It succeeded, I'm sure, beyond his wildest dreams in his actual border plan, which was to flood the United States with millions of people illegally, regardless of who they were, what they'd done. Didn't matter, just get them in. It's astonishing. It's just astonishing that here you see sanity happening, and that could have been happening all along. It just shows you how far astray the modern left has gotten, how suicidally stupid they've become. All right. And I think we've got a bit more. Let's stay on the immigration thing. Let's see. Hold on. I think we've got something from JD Vance in here on that. Is he talking about it here?
My kids, I'm not going to force any other.
Yes, here we go. So here's something that's sane, that sane people will agree with.
I don't want my children to share a neighborhood with people who are not properly vetted. And because I don't want it for my kids, I'm not going to force any other American citizens' kids to do that either.
No, and that was a very particular case. It wasn't clear if he was radicalized when he got here or while he was living here.
I don't really care, Margaret. I don't want that person in my country. And I think most Americans agree with me.
Damn!
I don't want.
Okay. So it starts out really sane, and then it just gets super sane at the end there. I don't care. I don't want that person in the country. I don't want the violent criminal in the country. I don't care. I mean, it's amazing. They haven't. They have not changed. They have learned nothing. They have learned nothing. They save their adversarial tone for Republicans, any conservative. That is nowhere to be seen during the Biden administration, obviously, or Obama, or any of them, right? And it would have been nowhere to be seen under a Kamala administration. And we see the same thing in Canada as well, right? Like that adversarial tone, the adversarial tone is reserved for anything conservative, anybody conservative. And the equivocation at the end there. Let's watch this one more time.
I don't want my children to share a neighborhood with people who are not properly vetted. And because I don't want it for my kids, I'm not going to force any other American citizens' kids to do that either.
No, and that was a very particular case. It wasn't clear if he was radicalized when he got here or while he was living here.
I don't really care, Margaret. I don't want that person in my country. And I think most Americans agree with me.
That's the most sane thing you're going to hear all day. I don't care. I don't want him in my country. Right? Like, that's just sanity. That's what we all could recognize as sanity. I don't care about your equivocation, your politically motivated equivocation. I don't care. We're doing the right thing. I mean, 2,000 people, and this was from earlier today. 2,000 people. That's what he's talking about here. Those, he doesn't want those 2,000 violent criminals in American neighborhoods. But from the media, I don't care, he says. I want them out of the country. All sane people agree on this. Wherever you are in the world, anywhere you live, you don't want violent criminals living next to you and your family and your children. That's just normal. That's just a normal way to think. Normal people. All right, let's get to the chat for a second here. Let's see. Oh, lots of chat happening already. Wow. Rosie says you may remove David. No more David Hasselhoff? No more David Hasselhoff. All right. Then we're going back to voting. Let's see. Let's see. MHJ says you can find better beefcake than David H. I'm afraid that's the best Radio Baloney can do. But you guys can ask for your David Hasselhoff fix anytime. Let's see. Should we check for when his plane landed, Macross? Yeah. Welcome to Haiti. Let's see. Turtle says large crowds of illegal aliens are swarming with signs in cities. So stay there since Tom will be there in a minute. Yeah, maybe not a great idea. I don't know if they realize that Tom Homan, Trump, they mean business. They're not kidding around. Let's see. Jesse says, put them in jail if they don't honor the detainer. Anybody, they are talking about legal action against people trying to stand in the way of it. Because they're breaking the law, right? If they're not cooperating with ICE. Turtle says TikTok is now a new cry zone, not libs as much as illegals. Uh-oh. Jesse says they will self-deport if they know sanctuary areas are not safe places to run to. Let's see. It's such a weird thing that the concept of a sanctuary state, it's just suicidal stupidity. Hey, Izzy, how you doing? Good to see you. Let's see. Xerxes says it was just the globalist plan, like you said. Flood the U.S. It's all exposed now. Trump looks normal and competent. Yeah, because these are centrist policies. These are policies that Hillary agreed with not long ago. I mean, they don't want you to see that, right? But Hillary agreed. Hillary agreed with all of this not that long ago. But this is it's the big gaslighting, right? Normal centrist policies being portrayed as far-right authoritarianism. And they know it. The media knows it too. They know what they're doing. Jesse says, Izzy, quick, they are trying to take over the boob lineup and replace it with Sausage Fest. I need you. Let's see. Rosie says, we did not ask, just interesting turnout. Well, anytime you girls need a David Hasselhoff fix, just let me know. Let's see. Are they repatriating or just deporting? That's an interesting distinction, isn't it? So I think both. Xerxes says Tom Homan is a hero. The Alpha Warriors are stepping up. Thank God. Had to happen. Macross says Rosie wants more Arnold. All right, let me skip to the end here. Izzy says, Richie, did you see my message on Minds? Posted a like of YouTube short of Ryan Long suggesting True China would honor Elon as a Nazi in Parliament. Oh, that's really funny. That's clever, actually. You know what the problem is? I haven't been on Minds in God knows how long. A year. I don't think my stuff is used to automatically post on there. I don't think it still is. I haven't but I haven't been on Minds in a long time. I got to be honest with you. Let's see. But that's funny. Turtle says Colombia is going to have to think twice. Yeah, Colombia rejected a couple of planes, military planes. They said they won't accept the military planes there. They're going to, yeah. I think Trump's going to deal with that quickly. Because I guarantee you they're getting a bunch of money from the U.S. that will stop. All right, let's move on to the next one. What do we got? This is a very different Trump, and the American public knows. So here is CNN, and CNN is just kind of, I think this is a difficult time for them because they've realized they've had to come to the terms with the fact that their power is really waning. Their ability to manipulate and control the narrative is waning. And I think you see a lot of sour faces on that CNN now. They're starting to realize that they're actually becoming fairly impotent in terms of trying to trick people into wrecking their lives and their futures. Let's take a look.
This is a very different Donald Trump. He's leading a very different administration, the way he's attacking things. And the American public is very much more in line with him than they were at any point during his entire first term.
Well, I would say, correction, this is not a very different Donald Trump. This is a very different Donald Trump as being viewed by voters in this.
In the way he's going about things with Susan Wiles leading things. I think he is, going at things in a much less disorganized fashion, much more organized.
Take me back in history.
Take you back in history. So it was so interesting to me that Donald Trump's first net approval rating of his second term is higher than his entire first term. And I was interested, has that ever happened? Has the second term net approval rating in the first month, have you ever had a higher rating than any net approval rating during the entire first term? Donald Trump is the only.
I have a really hard time believing this.
This is 100% true. I went back. I love spreadsheets. Donald Trump's is the first guy ever whose net approval rating in the first month of his second term is higher than any rating that he had as an entire first term, Kate Baldwin. This is true. I don't make stuff up. The numbers are the numbers.
I believe you in nothing except when you have it in the wall. And then I believe everything you say.
That's exactly right.
Which is why.
You can just see how sour she is, huh? She's so sour. She's not happy about it at all. Just seeing that the people didn't listen to her. It turns out she really doesn't have all that much power after all. Her and her ilk don't have that much power after all. She's a loser. CNN is fake news. She's a loser. It's like, hold on. Like one part here I thought was quite revealing. Hold on. And you can see, hold on one sec, you guys. I got to take a break for 1 second. All right, sorry about you guys. But let's watch a bit. Let's watch this again.
Donald Trump's first net approval rating of his second term is higher than his entire first term. And I was interested, has that ever happened? Has the second term net approval rating in the first month, have you ever had a higher rating than any net approval rating during the entire first term? Donald Trump is the only.
I have a really hard time believing this.
This is 100% true. I went back.
Did you hear that? She's having a really hard time believing this. Yeah, that's because she doesn't know anything. That's because everything she knows, she learned off a teleprompter. Right? She's just learned the narrative is all. She's in a bubble, right? And that's it. She's shocked by this because she's totally ignorant. She knows nothing, right? She is just simply a tool of a machine. She's a puppet for a machine. That's why she has a hard time believing it. People in the real world could see it. People paying attention, people whose entire knowledge base didn't come entirely off a teleprompter can understand this. You guys know this. This isn't surprising to you guys. For her, think about that. I mean, she's like an anchor on CNN, and she is so misinformed that this comes as a total shock to her. I'm sure election night was a shock to her. I'm sure she assumed that she knew Kamala's joy was going to, it was going to be a landslide for Kamala. Take all these swing states. She's just having a hard time, and she's salty about it. She's not happy. Her worldview has been crushed, and I guess maybe even her ego. I think a lot of egos have been crushed. A lot of arrogant, ignorant, self-satisfied egos have been crushed by what happened on election night. Find it quite amazing. And you know, we don't, does it even need to be said? Nobody's watching CNN, but for this reason. I mean, you've got a guy there just saying, hey, this is what's actually happening, right? And the anchor there, she just doesn't want to accept it. No, that's not the narrative. Let me read off the teleprompter. That's the truth. I mean, it's obvious at this point. The news comes from, I think people would be shocked to see how much of what they see from these anchors, from like the Anderson Coopers and her and the you know, the Rachel Maddows, just how much it's really just coming from the producer and how scripted it is and how planned it is. I mean, we all know it is, but I think if you could see behind the scenes and just see how fake it really is, how cynical it really is, I think it would be probably depressing, but also fascinating. What's going on here? From Bo Luden, President Trump has halted the hiring of 88,000 new IRS agents. That was also perhaps a miscalculation with the Biden administration. You know what will make us really popular? Yeah, I'm sure Trump saw that and went, holy, I can get elected just on this. Trump has halted the hiring of the 88,000 new IRS agents because people love being audited. All right, let's take a look.
On day one, I immediately halted the hiring of any new IRS agents. You know, they hired or tried to hire 88,000 new workers to go after you, and we're in the process of developing a plan to either terminate all of them or maybe we'll move them to the border. I think we're going to move them to the border. On day one.
Actually, auditing the illegal immigrants would probably be cruel and unusual punishment, I think. All right. Delivering. Every country in the Western world needs a Trump. Immediately, please. Again, you want to be unpopular, hire more IRS agents to torture people with audits and force them to pay more money to go through every penny. If you want to be unpopular, that's a great idea. You want to be popular, get rid of them. That's just smart. Let's see. From Colin Rugg, President Trump and LA Mayor Karen Bass spar on live TV. Trump tells her to stop talking so long, the spat we've all been waiting for. Well, let's take a look. I love the fact that Trump isn't playing nice with these people. He does not care. He knows every single one of these people gleefully would have either participated in or watched his life be ruined, him thrown in prison or assassinated. Like, he's not under any illusions about these people, but what kind of people these are. They wanted him destroyed, his life work destroyed, his name destroyed, his family destroyed. So, yeah, I mean, it would be disingenuous for him to come out now and play nice. I'd like this. I think it's fantastic. He's rubbing it in their faces. He's showing them no respect is the thing. I have not watched this clip yet myself, so we're going to watch it together here for the very first time.
We're bringing our city departments together so that people don't get caught in the loop of going from one room to the next. We want them all to be in the same room so that you can get busy rebuilding ASAP. Absolutely. Yes. Yes. And we will clear the lots. Absolutely. In the city and in the county. We are working together. Both levels of government are working in unity.
18 months? Is it like we that's the answer that we got, and that's what we're all hanging on?
Yes.
So if you're telling us now faster, is it 6 months? Is it, I mean, all of our lives, rents, all this stuff is weighing on this.
6 months is no good.
And the number one thing that we are going to do immediately, and you will see this happen, is to clear out the debris. And we're concerned right now over the weekend because of the potential rain, but we are going to move as fast as we can, but we want you to be safe, and we want you to be back in your homes immediately.
But the people are willing to clean out their own debris. It doesn't
Yes,
cost
and
a
they
lot.
can,
You
and
should
they are
let them
able
do
to-
it because
No,
by the
they
time you
can do
hire
that.
contractors, it's
Right.
going to be 2 years.
If a family,
People are willing to get a dumpster and do it themselves and clean it out.
and they can.
There's
do
not that much left. It's all incinerated.
That's right.
And, it's just going to take a long time if you do. You can do some of it, but a lot of these people, I know that guy right there that's talking. I know my people. You'll be on that thing tonight, throwing the stuff away, and your site it'll look perfect within 24 hours. And that's what he wants to do. He doesn't want to wait around for 7 months till the city hires some demolition contract
If
that's going to
individuals
charge him
want to build-
$25,000 to do his lot. I think you have emergency powers just like I do, and I'm exercising my emergency powers. You have to exercise them also.
I did exercise them.
Because I looked,
signed
I
an
mean, you have a
emergency
very powerful
declaration.
emergency power, and you
Yes.
can do everything within 24 hours.
Yes. And if individuals want to clear out their property, they can. Yes, but you know that you will be able to go back soon.
Mr. President.
We think within a week.
That's a long time, a week. I'll be honest. To me, everyone's standing in front of their house. They want to go to work, and they're not allowed to do it.
And the most important
week
thing
is
is
a
for
long
people to
time.
be safe.
They're safe. They're safe. You know what? They're not safe. They're not safe now. They're going to be much safer. A week is actually a long time, the way I look at it. I watched hundreds of people standing in front of their lots, and they're not allowed to go in. It's all burned. It's gone. It's done. Nothing's going to happen to it. It's not going to burn anymore. There's nothing to burn. There's almost nothing to burn. And they want to go in. The people are all over the place. They're standing, and I say, why aren't you going in? We're trying to get a permit, and the permit's going to take them. Everybody said 18 months. You said 18 months. You said 18 months.
That was last night.
And that was last night. On that.
We can't even see our homes right now. We are blocked from entering our streets.
Right.
We can't even. This is our first time we saw our house. Was yesterday.
It's the dichotomy between, I'm not even going to say conservative, I'm just going to say normal and far leftist, like radical leftist. Now, he's embarrassing them. Trump is embarrassing these people, Newsom, her, Karen Bass. He's embarrassing them. So they have to pretend to be, sane, somewhat reasonable, insane. And she's trying to do that. But you can see it's just, there's Trump, the businessman, who's like, we need to get this done now. There's no reason we can't. Get it done now. It needs to be done now. Right. And she's like, well, yeah, we are. But, also you have to wait. He's like, no, we just do it now. It's deeply embarrassing. They're kind of confused, I think, by this. They're not used to that. They're used to, well, we have to write some more regulations before we can do anything. They're not used to this. No, just do it. Let's just do it right now. Again, they're going to have to, try and play nice with Trump. I mean, the thing is, he hasn't stopped. I mean, he didn't take a break when he won. He didn't sit back and relax and just enjoy the moment. Immediately got to work. He's gone to North Carolina. He's gone here. This is all deeply embarrassing for these people. And he's showing what the difference is. What the difference is between somebody who's just common sense and leftists. Again, they probably would have spent a year just writing new regulations for the cleanup. He knows this. He's showing up and embarrassing them into having to seem at least partially sane. It's pretty amazing. Let's see. What are you guys saying? Macross says we are saving the country so much money. You guys talking about, with the 88,000 new workers, IRS. Yes, they were IRS, Rosie. That was never going to be popular. Let's see. Fez Woody, does Canada have federal income tax? Of course. Of course. Lots of it. Let's see. DEI hire with low IQ. The thing is with the DEI hires, it seems that like identity is the only thing that matters. It's not even like, okay, so they'll find the identity pool that they want and then look for the most qualified in that. That doesn't seem to be the case at all. It's just identity. You're the right identity, you're in. You got to remember too, like radical leftists, the modern left, they don't believe in merit anyway. So why would they want the best person? They don't think there is a best person. Is Bass trying to debate Trump? She's out of her class. Yeah, he's just steamrolling over. And he's in the right. Morally, he's in the right on all of this stuff. Every time he talks to these people, morally, he's in the right. And it's obvious. Jesse says, Cali takes more than any other state in federal funding. Still the red tape and defund Cali. It's part of the ideology, right? It's part of their religion, just regulation, red tape. They just think more government involvement equals better. More centralization equals better. They're incapable of thinking differently. Idea pathogen. Turtle says she is a commie. She is a commie. Well, we went through this, and she has a very big commie past. She's claiming that she's not a communist anymore, but I'm not buying it. Xerxes says the debris of Karen Bass needs to be cleaned out. Rosie says, yes, she is a commie. Let's see. Rosie says, blocked from entering their own street. Of course. Of course. Commie state. Turtle says, Trump in North Carolina was perfect. McCross says Bass has to work her ass off to collect those taxes. More taxes better. More redistribution better. That's so they think. These are like, articles of faith for them. G Flood, how you doing? All right. What else we got going on here? DEI hire Harris. We won. Well, that's a good example, right? Where they just identity marker, we got that. Okay, good. The rest doesn't matter. And again, they don't believe in merit anyway, right? So it doesn't matter to them. Let's see. Rosie says, darn Kansas City going to the Super Bowl. It's not like the third year in a row or something. I don't pay attention to that stuff anymore. I used to follow it all, but I stopped. Now I just follow boxing. Let's see. G-Flat says she may have gone from commie to full globalist despot. Yeah. Yeah. I think she's still a commie. I mean, but globalist despot commie, they're the same thing, right? So they're the same thing. It's the same set of goals. All right, let's move on. All right, let's do some Canada here. So post-millennial, Premier Danielle Smith. The American economy is 10 times the size of Canada. So she's talking about how irrational and counterproductive a trade war with the United States would be. The reality is Canada will get crushed by a trade war with the United States immediately. Right? We're just a much smaller country. We just rely on exports, most of it to the United States. Oil and gas, lumber. It's a incredibly stupid, irresponsible, reckless thing to do. And I think that Danielle Smith is actually talking some sense here. She seems to be the only adult in the room, aside from Pierre Poilievre, who, of course, Pierre Poilievre is saying, yes, well, of course, we will have to retaliate. But really what we want is, to work together. He's not taking the same kind of bellicose tone as
times the size of Canada
as the political opportunists are.
You've made the argument so far that the focus should be placed on that and not on raising the prospect, for example, of counter tariffs. What purpose would that serve?
I always think that you should try to avoid a fight, especially when you've got a bigger adversary that you're fighting against. The American economy is 10 times the size of Canada, and if we get into some kind of tit for tat retaliatory tariffs, neither country is going to benefit from that, and Canadian consumers are going to be harmed. That's why my approach has been, what can we do to avoid the fight? That being said, I think we all know, based on previous experience, that having a proportionate response is what is normally expected when these kinds of things occur. And so I know that the federal government is working on what that proportionate response would look like. I hope we don't have to roll it out at all. I hope we can avoid tariffs altogether.
You've made the argument.
What would have been sane was immediately just saying, you know what, we have neglected the border. This is what we're going to do. Gone on American television and said, this is what we're going to do. This is going to benefit Canada and the United States. That would have been just the sane thing to do. Of course, we can't do that, right? You've got to have this. Trudeau is still the prime minister. He's still the prime minister. You've got the Liberal leadership race happening, and it's really just kind of, amateur Machiavellianism, in service of, cynical politics, as it has been the entire time the Trudeau Liberals have been in power. So why expect anything different? It's shameful, though, and it's going to hurt. These are really, really bad idea. These are really, really bad ideas. And, the Team Canada approach there. So Trudeau is appealing to nationalism now, patriotism, right? The guy who said we're the first post-national country. What? Didn't ask us about that. Said we had no core identity. We're basically just nothing, right? We're just a void. We're just whatever. We're a blank slate. We're just a blank slate that Trudeau can draw his picture of Canadian utopia onto. We're just nothing. Oh, we're also a white supremacist state, and there's like 50 genocides happening at any given moment. Really? You're going to appeal to our patriotism now? The people who hate the country. And as far as I can tell, seem to quite hate a lot of the people in the country. They told us, right? They told us. What did Trudeau say? What did Trudeau say about the people who disagree with him?
Small fringe minority.
No, should we tolerate these people? These people with unacceptable ideas? Now you want to appeal to our patriotism. We don't believe you. We think that this, again, is amateur Machiavellian political scheming is what's going on. And I think that Danielle Smith actually is she's the adult in the room on this one. Let's see. So from Jonathan Kay, we'll stay on Canada here. When the Cass review came out, now the Cass review was a review in the UK surrounding, gender affirming care, the euphemism gender affirming care in the UK, such as puberty blockers, cross-sex hormones, all of that, particularly in puberty block. This was looking at, it was studying the data around, puberty blockers, particularly, right? For gender affirming, the euphemistically named gender affirming care in the UK. And the report stated, and this was actually, they actually approached it from a scientific perspective for once. And it stated, this is probably doing more harm than good. And there's certainly no evidence that it's helping. And so the UK has banned the use of puberty blockers for gender reassignment for children, obviously. Right? That should have been enough to make everybody, like every country in the world that's gone along with this bizarre metaphysical infinite series of abstractions that we call gender theory, that should have been enough for everybody to take notice and go, hold on a second. Didn't Sweden just do the same thing as well? Hey, maybe we need to take another look at this. Maybe we should stop it right now, because we don't want to be performing inhuman medical experiments on children. Yes. Yes, inhuman medical experiments on children. Maybe we shouldn't be doing that. Maybe let's take a look at this first before we do that. All right, so what's going on? Let's take a look at this. What does it say here? The evidence surrounding the use of puberty blockers and cross-sex hormones in children and teens identifying as transgender is of such low certainty, it's impossible to conclude whether the drugs help or harm. Canadian researchers are reporting. Let's just pull this article up. Considerable uncertainty remains about gender treatment for kids. These are euphemisms. Gender treatment. Gender was always just synonymous with sex. That's what we always meant by it, right? So you have biologic reality, male or female, two sexes. That's all that exists. Like, that's just fact. It doesn't matter how you feel about it, right? But then you can say, well, we're not talking about sex. We're talking about gender. But what does that actually mean, though? Like, what is gender, this new redefinition of gender? Well, it's nothing. It's just imagination. It's an endless series of abstractions. If your gender ideology includes non-binary, which that doesn't make any sense. It's not even, it's null. It's a nothing, right? It's not even a category. That doesn't make any sense. If it includes omnigender, something called omnigender, which is all of the infinite number of genders, if it includes these things, if it includes a frog gender, look it up. Okay, that's a good sign that this is all made up, that it's all bullshit. It's not real. This is metaphysics. There is nothing remotely resembling reality about any of this. So the fact you would have gender treatments is surreal. I mean, this is going to be certainly one of the biggest medical scandals in all of history, because the gender part, when they say, well, it's gender expression, that leaks into the whole sex part when you start lopping off body parts and giving children puberty blockers to prevent them from growing into healthy adult bodies. Now it's not just about gender anymore, is it? It's not when you're performing medical experiments to try and turn children into a facsimile of something they could never be. Two major reviews by Canadian researchers echo findings of UK review that led to ban on puberty blockers for trans-identifying youth. The evidence surrounding the use of puberty blockers and cross-sex hormones in children and teens identifying as transgender is of such low certainty, it's impossible to conclude whether the drugs help or harm, Canadian researchers are reporting. It's almost as if they don't want you to really know what the results of this is. It's almost as if they don't want you to know what's really happening. They're shrouding it. They're shrouding it in mist, so you don't really know, so that they can just keep doing the weird medical experiments. Doctors should clearly communicate the major uncertainties that remain with children and parents and check whose values they are prioritizing when prescribing puberty blockers and masculinizing or feminizing hormones to youth. They write, how is this not the lead story? How is this not dominating Canadian news right now? How is it not? I don't care about the Liberal leadership race. They're not going to win anyway. How is this not dominating? I mean, we're talking about, this should be a giant, massive scandal, an enormous scandal. This should be a time for the nation to stop and say, hold on, what have we been allowing to happen in our names? But of course they don't, because the news doesn't exist to inform, it exists to manipulate. And of course, they're all complicit. Look at who's complicit in this, in these crimes, in these, Mengele style crimes, right? Well, it's doctors, it's the medical associations, it's the politicians, it's the media. The media is complicit in this by just accepting a bizarre set of abstractions called gender theory as if it's true. It came on the teleprompter and they said, yep, that's what we believe now. Who cares what happens? Who cares what this could lead to? Following the CAS reviews released last March, doctors in the UK were told to temporarily stop routinely prescribing puberty blockers to under 18s. In December, the ban was made indefinite after independent expert advice concluded the drugs pose an unacceptable safety risk to children. To children. The CAS review hasn't altered the gender-affirming approach to care in Canada. Of course not. Woke Canada. Trudeau's Canada. The Canadian, post-national, no core identity Canada of Justin Trudeau. The Canadian Pediatric Society has criticized what it called significant limitations, biases, and inaccuracies within the review, which capped off a 4-year inquiry. In a letter published in its flagship journal, the Society said the model of gender-affirming care in Canada differs in many ways from the approach that had been in place in the UK. If you're giving puberty blockers to prevent children from growing into healthy adult bodies, that's wrong. Any man on the street can tell you that. Anybody could predict this. Anybody with just even the most tenuous hold on sanity could tell you that. Obviously, don't perform medical experiments on children because that's what this is. So, things are slowly starting to turn in Canada. But this is an issue that will have to be dealt with. I mean, it's obviously, like, a sane society can't do this. Like, in a sane society, adults do not do this to children. All right. Let's see. JDL says Mengele was ahead of his time. This is Mengele. This is Mengele quality medical care. Let's see. Xerxes asks, is Canada more politically left because of their French and British ties? I don't know. I think that there is a kind of fundamental conservatism to Canada that you can kind of miss. And I think it arises when, I think Canadians across Canada, and I think you see this from the polling, are quicker to, once they actually reach that line where they go, okay, this isn't working anymore. I think they're fairly quick to move at that point, like the next opportunity to change it. I don't think there's an equivalent to like San Francisco or California in Canada. Certainly not like a San Francisco. I guess the closest you get to that maybe is Montreal. Still not as bad. I would have said Toronto, but Toronto is turning, right? If you look at, I think the most liberal province in Canada is British Columbia, and the Conservatives almost won in the last provincial election. So that would not happen in Washington State and Oregon and California, not now, probably not for decades, if ever. So for it to even be in question, like an exciting election night. Turtle says Trump removed all trans men in women's jails. It just seems like common sense to me. Don't put male rapists in women's prisons. And yes, they have done that. And yes, they have done, well, exactly what you would expect. Turtle says John Money was the yeah. we'll have to do a segment on him on one of these live streams. Just one of the worst people you can possibly imagine. Just an appalling human being. He's the one that they credit for the, the concept of gender, the modern concept of gender. A horrible person, as always. From these far leftists, they're always horrible people. Let's see. All right. All right, let's get to the end of the chat, then we'll move on. Let's see. JJ, how you doing? And let's see. JDL says Canadians are too low key. Yeah, I think there is a kind of, what's the word? An inherent conservatism throughout Canada that gets hidden sometimes. You can't see sometimes, but it's there waiting to come out. Well, JJ Nevada just hit the like button, and that's, well, you're just a good person, JJ. You're just a good person. Let's see. All right, let's just get on to the next thing. Do we have anything else here? All right, let's move on. So here's just a short little thing. Is Freeland okay? Chrystia Freeland. So she's competing. It's really between her and Mark Carney for the Liberal leadership, and whoever wins that will be the next prime minister until the next election. Is Freeland okay? What is she doing here? We call her Twitchy. This is in French. I won't bother playing it, but she's weird, right? She's weird. I wonder if she's on like SSRIs or something like that, like anti-anxiety meds or something. I don't know. You can just see she's just kind of weird. She's not like a leader at all. She doesn't have the presence of a leader. She's just kind of weird. She seems uncomfortable. Some people say she looks like a penguin. I call her the finance Oompa Loompa sometimes, but just kind of no. She's just no. You know what? If there's a word that sums her up, it's just no. How do you feel about Chrystia Freeland? No. Let's move on. All right. So Nano's polling, 64% of Canadians now say the country is moving in the wrong direction, and 70% of 18 to 34-year-olds do too. That's the highest percentage ever recorded. So 64% wrong direction. That's a pretty big deal in Canada and Canadian politics. We're seeing some polls coming out. There's these Ecos poll that's come out that's got the Liberals really closing in, getting, I think, within like 5 points or something ridiculous. Frank Graves, who runs that poll, tweeted that he would do everything in his power to stop Pierre Poilievre from getting elected. So it kind of throws his polling into doubt somewhat. There's a new Main Street poll out for Ontario that actually has the Liberals leading by a couple of points in Ontario. I'm starting to see something like what we saw in the United States in the election with the polling there, because we covered the polling for the presidential election quite closely. We really got into the data. And we looked at who had been the most accurate, the last previous couple of cycles, right? And then we put a lot of weight on that, like, and what the margin of error was, or the margin of bias in favor of Democrats was over those elections as well. And we were pretty accurate. None of us were surprised by the result. I mean, it was still kind of hard to believe that he actually pulled it off, but we knew that was the most likely thing. I think we're going to have a problem in Canada with polling too. The Ecos poll is clearly just bullshit. But it's interesting, and we're going to have to see. There's not as many polls in Canada, so we will have to see. But it's something we'll be keeping an eye on. It's something important to keep an eye on. Because you see a poll where obviously in Ontario, 36, and they have a majority progressive conservative provincial government in Ontario. So I'm starting to there's some stuff that's looking really suspicious. I mean, they haven't even picked a new leader yet, right? That just seems to, I find the whole thing very suspicious. Well, we're definitely going to keep a close eye on polls on this channel as things go, as things progress. All right, let's look at this quickly. Here's from Andy Lee. Mark Carney is promoted by Canada Snow Goose Media, which was founded in Canada in 2019, yet it maintains an official account with an IP address showing it is operating in Sichuan, China. The regime has found its next Manchurian candidate. Well, it's obvious to all with eyes to see and ears to hear that Trudeau has been and the Liberal Party have been, the preferred prime minister and party of the Chinese government. That much is clear. That's why Trudeau refuses to release the names of the compromised MPs from the last election. And it makes perfect sense, right? Of course, they're going to favor a far left radical party. Mark Carney, apparently, is the choice of these guys, the Canada Snow Goose Media, which seems super Canadian. Look at all this Canadian on it. Look at all of this. Look at all the Canadiana on this. Canada Snow Goose Media. Number 1, Snow Goose Media. Yeah, I think they would like, who would China like? Would they like the, let's see, globalist, the progressive twerp globalist banker? Or the conservative? I've got a feeling they might like the globalist banker. The globalist banker who will weaken and who will destroy the Canadian economy, who will help destroy Canada from the inside, and obviously be very favorable to just whatever the hell China wants. Yeah, I think they'll go with the radical left, progressive, globalist banker. Maybe the media. Maybe the mainstream media in Canada should pick up on this. Maybe they should call Andy Lee there. Of course, they won't, because they like him. They want him. He's going to, if it's him, if he becomes the next prime minister, CBC will keep getting their $1.4 billion, probably more, and there'll be subsidies aplenty. Subsidies aplenty. He'll be, from his banking days, he knows all about printing money. Inflation be damned, and then he can, he can sell out Canada's future to bribe the corporate media here, which is exactly what he will do. Though I don't believe for a second he will ever be prime minister. Well, sorry. He may be prime minister briefly if he wins the Liberal leadership, but he's not going to win an election. I just don't see it. No matter how much Canada Snow Goose Media, number 1, wants him to. I just don't believe it. Let's see. At one point on Carney's watch, Britain had the highest inflation in the G7. He's just like Justin. His biggest problem, I think, right now is actually just how boring and uncharismatic he is. Because the Liberal name is mud at this point. All right. Pierre Poilievre. Mark Carney just celebrated the endorsement of a Liberal minister who wants to allow all hard drugs like meth, heroin, and crack cocaine to be used in public. Now, where does Mark Carney stand? With more of the same failed Trudeau? Now, where does Mark Carney stand? With more of the same failed Trudeau drug policies that sow death, chaos, and disorder in Canada's streets? We don't know, because Carney won't answer any questions. They're trying to promote him as this kind of moderate, stable, rational, reasonable guy with all this experience. He's not. He is a radical. He is an eco-lunatic, right, who has lobbied to try and destroy. He's lobbied against investment in Canada's energy industry while investing in pipelines in places like Brazil and the UAE. He's a far leftist. He's a radical. He's a progressive. He's a globalist, right? He's deeply involved with the UN. He's deeply involved with the World Economic Forum. He is Justin Trudeau, only I think even worse, because I think he has technocratic skills that would help him that would help speed Canada's, drop off a cliff and crash and explosion into flames. My brain isn't working that well. I'm not using my words good, but I think you take my point. I'm a member of Trudeau's Liberals, and I think the government should decriminalize all drugs. That's Nathaniel Erskine Smith, so that's him. And that's who just endorsed Mark Carney, who is a progressive, so of course he agrees with all this. They all do. So what? I think that we've had enough of, I mean, I think the data's out, and I think that now we can really make a real clear decision. A real clear decision on what the liberal harm reduction policies are like. Let's see. Here's when Trudeau got in. So have we seen harm reduction or harm increase or life reduction? Let's see. So here's when Trudeau got in. And then here we go, way off a cliff. It says here, beginning of COVID-19 outbreak in Canada. Well, that must be it. I guess it's not his fault, right? Except here's Sweden. Let's see. Well, during COVID, their numbers of overdose drug deaths actually went down. Huh, well, that's interesting, isn't it? Of course, they didn't do the ridiculous draconian lockdowns and mandates. But what's even the point of putting in this here, right? It doesn't matter. I mean, we see, you don't have to have that. It actually went down in Sweden during those same years. This is Trudeau policies. These are progressive policies. Don't forget, Trudeau said the Liberal Party is not liberal, it's progressive. These are progressive policies, right? Mark Carney is a progressive. He wants to do more of that. Mark Carney is a progressive being endorsed by this guy who wants to do more, who wants policies that are guaranteed to kill more Canadians, to hurt the country more. Somebody who will never see reason. If Canada were stupid enough to actually elect somebody like Mark Carney, at that point, you almost have to think it's just time to leave. Like, just try and get out. Just go somewhere else. It's just hard to figure out where to go. I mean, I guess for me, I would think maybe, I keep hearing about Tennessee. Tennessee does sound nice. That does sound nice. I also like the sound of like Montana. That sounds good too. Wait a second. What's going on here? Holy crap. We have a request from Turtles, who is now, and that's a $5 request from Turtles. And you get this, by the way. So when you give me money, when anybody gives me money, that immediately makes them, and this isn't just for show either, right? This isn't just a gimmick. In my mind, that person is automatically the best person in the history of the world. And I mean it. I mean it. I mean it, Turtles. Number one. Turtles is requesting Trump on dinosaur. Turtle gets what Turtle wants. I gotta say, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. Anyway, Turtles, thank you for appealing to my grade. And yes, I'm happy to show you the Trump on the Dino. In fact, let's add a bonus in. You can't really go wrong with Space Barbarian Trump. You just can't. Let's see. Anyway, thanks again, Turtles. It's awesome. As Xerxes says, Carney looks like yet another globalist beta boy. Aren't people done with this BS? Well, it's just whether or not the machine can trick people into voting for him, right? That he's this moderate and he's this kind of reasonable, responsible guy with Canada's best interests at heart, and he's not just this elitist, technocrat, progressive, eco-nut, globalist banker. All right. Let's see. Turtle says Trump fighting commies. Are you asking for, you're requesting a new picture? Rosie says Tennessee is awesome. Only East Tennessee. West Tennessee is lib. No thanks. Around Nashville is okay. Nashville, not so much. So East Tennessee, but West Tennessee. Sorry, commie. East Tennessee it is, if I move at some point, which I might have to. If Canada continues to be insane and elects liberals in again. The problem is if they get in again, like Bill C-63, the insane dystopian pre-crime censorship bill, they're going to rush that through. They're going to lock down the internet, speech, everything. It'll be, I would have to probably move from the country to keep doing this channel. In all honesty. Yeah, let's see. Nevada says, yeah, love the state memes. Let's see. All right. So, yeah, I at this point, I am comfortable saying that if the liberals, the progressive, the radical left Trudeau Liberal Party, or I guess we should say the radical left illiberal party of Canada, if they get in again, I think they're going to lock it down. And then it's just, the country won't be worth living in for long after that. You know, it won't take them too long to really, really destroy the country. Take it out of first world status. Absolutely. We have this optimism bias. Look, things can go bad. Pick up some history books. Things go bad real quick. People don't expect it. They have a normalcy bias. They have an optimism bias. Things can go bad really fast when you've got bad, disingenuous, actually just malevolent people running your country. They can screw you up. Civilization is on a razor's edge all the time. We need to be mindful of that. Maybe you need to take a look around the rest of the world. Like there's places around the rest of the world that, might give you some perspective on how you kind of need to nurture civilization and an economy. Anyway, let's see what's going on here. All right. So Doge. So just in Doge, the Department of Government Efficiency has canceled $420 million in contracts already. What? It's 6 days? Department of Government Efficiency. In the first 80 hours, approximately $420 million of current impending contracts have been canceled. 2 leases have also been canceled. Initial focus is mainly on DEI contracts and unoccupied buildings. Can Elon franchise a Doge out for Canada? Because we've got wasting a lot of money on DEI contracts. Trudeau has wasted hundreds of millions of dollars on activist organizations, advocacy organizations, whose job is simply to find racism somewhere so that the CBC can call them up and ask, hey, is Canada super racist? And they'll say, yep, yes, it is. There's, in fact, some guy in northern Saskatchewan flew a flag we don't like outside of his farm last week. Definitely white supremacist country. It's a circle jerk. A lot of it is just a circle jerk. I mean, Trudeau was clever in this. He bribed the media, but he also gave money to like Canadian Anti-Hate Network and tons of advocacy groups. Those same advocacy groups, I guarantee, are advising those people on whose temporary foreign temporary work visas have expired, or the students whose student visas have expired, I guarantee Canadians are paying advocacy groups to advise those people to not leave, to break Canadian law. Guaranteed. But basically giving money out to people who will support his issues and try and shape the culture, force the culture, scare the culture into just accepting his crazy far left radical bullshit. It's really quite terrible. Anyway, Elon, can you franchise out a Doge for Canada? We need it. We need it badly. If anybody needs it, we need it. All right. We looked at that earlier. So we're not going that late tonight, I don't think. I think we should be done in an hour. But you know what? I need to take a quick break, you guys. Can you give me just a quick break? And I think that we'll shut down the YouTube part of it right now. So if you're watching on YouTube right now, please join us on Rumble. Way more people over there. The chat is roaring on Rumble. Join us over there. If not, well, we'll see you on, what is it, Sunday? Tuesday. Is it Sunday? Yeah, it's Sunday. We'll see you on Tuesday. But we got to shut it off now. Talk to you later. There we go. Just does now.